for joining
Morning,
us.
Dotun.
Nice to see you.
Happy holiday and then happy belated birthday.
Hey,
Yeah, happy birthday.
thank you.
Yeah, really, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we start off with the Vanguard newspaper. The major story here is quite disheartening. Killings. Benue, Taraba, Ekiti, Afenifere, Ohaneze, others take on GHQ with multiple riders. You are blaming victims instead of the aggressors. That's Benue government and Afenifere. It's an attempt to clamp down on politicians. Fayoshe. Name politicians, states involved, Taraba government. They should show us enough proof. And this is coming on the backdrop of the statement credited to the Acting Director of Information Defense Headquarters, Brigadier General John Agbim, that it's actually politicians that are sponsoring herdsmen on the killings.
Okay, if you look at it very critically, you discover that some of these criminalities that we have here and there have some political undertone. Not directly because politicians want them to go kill the people, but because of the fact that politicians want to win election, and by so doing they can go to any length, including arming jobless youth. And when you give these people you are indirectly telling them to go kill the people. So politicians, professional politicians, many of them are actually guilty as charged, and that's the truth. And until we get to a point where we will realize that winning election at all costs is not the hallmark of leadership, then we may not be able to change. So the defense headquarters this morning is on point to have said that many politicians are actually guilty.
But how do we now place, because it seems quite confusing now. At a point, you remember what President Muhammadu Buhari said about the so-called herdsmen being foreigners from Libya who got arms from there, and later on we were told that DSS told us that it was terrorist members of another terror group.
It's a product of disjointed communication style of the government. But in actual fact, all of them are not Nigerians. All these headsmen, either we like it or not. The fact is that some fractions of them are from some part of our neighboring countries. There's no doubt about that. And some fractions are actually a product of what politicians have made. Those are the people that they've armed, either we like it or not, because they want to win elections. So it's a combination of so many factors.
Yeah, but in all of those, let us assume that all the discordant information coming out are elements of truths here and there. Some of them are people from North Nigeria, others are fallout of Libya, some are sponsored by politicians, others are just disgruntled ethnic people. Whatever it is, government is the one with all of this information, not you and I. Yes. We only hear what government says. But are you seeing any concerted effort to handle all these elements based on where they're coming from?
Present administration.
That's the big challenge.
No. I have not seen one. Perhaps maybe I'm beginning to see, because that's the problem they have. I said it the other time that, you know, when former President Goodluck Jonathan was the president of Nigeria, the voice from the Niger Delta was very strong, because they have this mentality at that point that our man is there, so nothing will happen. And that's exactly what we transported into this government. That's why you see a Miyetti Allah will come out and talk as if they own Nigeria, because by extension the president is a member. So when either we like it or not, this present government has not done well. Especially they did well when they came on board on the issue of Boko Haram, but immediately we got to the point of herdsmen. All of them went asleep, and that's the problem we have. So when it comes to the issue of herdsmen, in the first place, if defense headquarters is coming to say what they have said, I've just told you that that's the truth. If they are coming out to say, it shows that they are also, to a certain extent, they are victim of circumstance, because they are not supposed to come out to complain. They are supposed to deal with the issue decisively.
Exactly. So that's what we're saying. So if the agencies that are meant to handle these issues are complaining to Nigerians, then what's the hope?
Maybe they are
amongst the people.
Maybe they are looking at the body language. You know, I've said it before.
Comes down to body language.
Either we like it or not. one of the three major things that would destroy this nation if we are not careful is the issue of religion and ethnicity. I will not say the art of leadership, character of leadership, is your ability to do to a friend what you can do to an enemy, and the ability to do for an enemy what you can do for a friend. So it makes a complete leader. So for you to be a leader with character, you must be a complete leader.
Food for thought there. Let's just move on. Another story here atop the paper. Buhari signs budget tomorrow to avoid government shutdown. That's according to a government source, not even named, so it's not even official yet. So it remains to be seen. But the news should be the delay so far.
Yes, the delay so far, everybody in government is guilty. Executive, guilty, legislators, all of them together, they are guilty. Because when you look at it from the beginning, the first thing they said is that even the National Assembly, after going back and forth on it, when they seem to be ready, many of these people in the executive arm did not show up to come and defend what they have done. You know why they were afraid? Because that is the first stage of corruption, and is very popular in this government, and is the copy and paste. I've said it repeatedly, kind of budgeting. What we had in last year budget, they just copied, perhaps just changed the figure and put it into this year estimate. That's what they do. So all of them I'm not exonerating anybody, from the president to every one person in the executive. Everyone is guilty, and the National Assembly, every single member is guilty. And that's why, either we like it or not, either we go to the January to December style, or want to remain on May to May style, any style we are done.
June to June.
Or June to June. It does not make sense that the budget estimate of the nation will rest in the bosom of the National Assembly for this long. Either we are, no matter, it is not logical, and everybody in government is guilty.
All right, let's just run through the remaining stories. Gas pipeline rupture disrupts supply to 6 power plants as generation drops by 1,087 megawatts. And then APC convention, Okorocha's committee, NWC lock horns over 10-year aspirants disqualification. Another crisis brewing there, because you have the spokesperson of the party, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, on one side saying that the NWC is in charge of all affairs. So whatever result or outcome of the committee headed by Governor Okorocha, it will be the one to decide. But Governor Okorocha says no, that committee has power to disqualify anyone.
Let's see how the power play will end. Let's continue to see how it will end.
Let's move to the Nation newspaper now. We're going to be fast with this one. APC governors move to prevent convention crisis. Consensus least likely. Now, the issue of consensus is coming back now. This was part of what they said earlier on, but now we're going back to it again.
Yes, that is telling you and I, Mike, and everyone watching and listening, that there's not much difference between PDP and APC. Because the last convention of PDP, we had this list. What was it called? Where they brought out a list and said, this is what these are the people you should vote for. Now, when we are talking about consensus again at this point in time, it's a mega crisis that is coming into APC.
But then, Dotun, we've told in democracy that consensus is not actually wrong. You can either select a candidate either by election or consensus. But what matters is if he wants to use consensus decision, it has to be all-inclusive. All members have to have a say and say that, yes, this is, or the majority at least.
Consensus can never be illegal at any point in time. But it is the logic that I am looking at. Because we have a fractioned party, a divided party now. So how do you want to pick the consensus that will cut across board? A mega crisis is coming. And I hope the leadership of the APC will be able to see it. Yeah, because whatever affects the APC, affects the government they run, whatever affects the government they run, affects me.
And it affects the democracy we're trying to build. Now, but it is a crisis they are trying to avert by bringing up the issue of consensus here.
See, the best way...
Did the PDP avert any crisis after their own convention?
Okay, we have to move on. Olubadan stops Chief's masquerade dance. Well, that's in Oyo State. How we plan to bring Abiola out of jail? His former his former secretary or assistant was making a revelation of how things were at that time. 32 killed in Borno, twin suicide attacks. This is really disturbing. We have not seen bomb attacks, or we've not heard so much of bomb attacks recently, and this happened over the weekend.
You see, anytime the military celebrates, these people come to attack. And I think we should get that very clear. Was he some few days ago, the Chief of Army Staff was talking about getting new equipment and all that, They are going technological at this point in time. And before you know it, and if you trace the history of attacks recently, it has always been after a praise session from the Nigerian military. So it is not yet time. I've said it repeatedly. These guys are working, considering, I mean the military personnel, considering the number of personnel we have, considering the number of genuine personnel we have, because that's another factor. Many of these people joined the force because of joblessness. The few ones that joined because they really want to protect you and I, considering their number, they are very insignificant. So they are trying, no doubt about that. But it is not yet time to call for Christmas party. Okay. This is June.
All right.
It's a fight of consistency.
But it's never easy anyway to fight conventional warfare and win overnight.
That's what I'm saying.
True.
All right. We have 2019, McCarthy joins race for PDP presidential ticket.
Yes.
All right. We're looking forward to more candidates coming in. And then we have $48 billion foreign reserves. Forex interventions keep Naira stable.
Now, when you talk about Naira being stable at 300 and something.
360.
Yeah, 360, and we are still using the word stable. I think the Nigerian media needs to apologize to the Nigerian people.
Why?
Yes, because we should not use the word stable. When we want to talk about stability now, maybe we should be talking about 150 Naira. That's when we talk about stability in the real sense of it. Okay. But that we are hovering around 360, and you are using the word stability to count.
Okay, what should they use? Stagnant?
In fact, maybe I can't directly think about one word to use. As we speak now, no logical economic intervention will save us, considering the fact that either they sign an agreement with China or not, we are still heavily dependent on the use of currency swap. We are still heavily dependent on dollar. On dollar. It's sad. When you get to the US, a friend of mine was telling me that the car he rides in the US, he bought it for $1,000. And I was wondering, $1,000 shouldn't be something that we should, every average Nigerian should be able to afford that. But again, calculate that in Nigerian Naira. Calculate it. So the economy is heavily dependent on dollar, and we cannot be celebrating calling tea parties by even supporting. We are even supporting our Naira to stay at that level.
Forex intervention.
So we must, that intervention that we are talking about, there's a need for us to use that intervention in the area of agriculture. Genuinely, there's a need for us to use that intervention in the area of small-scale entrepreneurship development.
All right, we have to move on.
If we do not develop all these areas,
but saying the Naira is stable doesn't mean it could be on a positive side. It just means that at least it's not dropping. It's just stable.
The stability.
So improvement,
it's not going
improvement.
And it's just hovering around that. I am telling you that at this point in time, it is becoming more unacceptable. And that's why the government must wake up to that China deal. I see hope in that deal. It's not a deal that you will enter into, and after we will not hear anything about it after 3 months.
All right. We hope to see more of that. And then Ekiti 2018, Rep. Olamide Oni, others dump ADP for APC. So there's still the issue of cross-carpeting here and there. And then the World Cup surprises over the weekend, where Germany was defeated by Mexico by 1-0, and then 1-0, and then Brazil also got a surprise by
I don't know whether we have actually had any of our trusted and respected Nigerian prophets talk about that, the result of the World Cup. What we've been hearing what's it called? Animals here and there, so we are.
Well, a pig said Nigeria was going to get the semi-final.
And
so,
I believe the pig.
Well, you believe the pig, but we've lost our first match.
So
the point there is that we need to.
Well, the pig didn't predict that Nigeria would win the first match.
Yes.
He predicted qualifying.
But the point there is, to get there now, Nigeria has to win the next two matches.
So that's where
we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
If Germany can be beaten, defending champions, then anything can happen.
All right.
All right, let's move on now.
But remember,
time is against us, but we have to.
Games are won by performance, not by prayers.
Exactly.
Okay, so we move on. The Punch newspaper, major story. APC convention, NWC meets to ratify delegates list on Tuesday. Governors moving on one side for the consensus list. NWC is trying to ratify delegates list.
The problem of all political parties, at least the major ones that we have known, has always been former governors. Former governors. PDP, the major problem PDP faced at one point in time was from Governors Forum, then former governors. And unfortunately, APC is not learning. They started, when they came together as a party, the chairman was a former governor. That's Bababisi Akonde. Maybe there was no major crisis at that point because they were still looking for power. Then after that, Oyegu came, former governor. Now we are expecting another former governor to come and take the leadership. There's something about former governors, and it destroyed PDP. I hope it will not destroy it.
All right, let's just breeze through the remaining stories because it seems we've touched some of them. McCarthy declares bid for PDP presidential ticket. Boko Haram attacks Damboa, kills 31, injures 48. Domestic airlines replacing expatriate pilots with Nigerians. That should be good news. SARS operative threatened to drink my blood. That's according to HR manager. Now, this SARS problem is growing on a daily basis. And though the Nigerian police has done something about it, putting out numbers that Nigerians can call when they get harassed by SARS operatives. But then, when the protector is becoming the perpetrator of crimes, who now protects the helpless?
It's really a sad reality. And it bothers me that even up to this point in time, we have not had at least something that we can call a near permanent solution. Because even sometimes, many people are too afraid to call because they threaten you. An incident happened somewhere in Ikorodu. Thank God the guy was actually arrested. He was going, I think he's a movie producer, who was going on set. And this guy saw him and insisted that he must pay them 100,000. And because that guy was smart, he said, okay, I don't have 100,000, but I'm going to transfer to your account.
Okay, I think I read that.
That's what account. They do. It has got to that point. And everybody seems silent. This is a national disaster waiting to happen. But we must continue to engage the Nigerian police.
Earlier, because from all of these complaints, let us assume a few persons want to discredit the police, but everyone cannot be wrong at the same time.
Everyone cannot be wrong.
And it'll be good for the...
I have insiders in the Nigerian police system. And even people within the police understand. But because of the fact that these people also go through a lot in the hand of armed robbers, so they just seem not to care. And that's why they don't want to disband them. Because, again, they go through a lot in the hands of armed robbers.
But when it comes
these
to...
are the citizens who are supposed to...
But when it comes to SARS, one cannot take it away from them that they have done a good job or they're doing a good job of crime prevention. But the high-handedness and then the issue of harassing civilians is just the flip side that people are looking at,
which is now growing on a daily basis. Cannot be shied away from. And then transferring monies to them is, like you say, is another tactic, and it's now made it easy for citizens to even accuse them, legally, because they're a trace. You can trail the money; their names will be there when you transfer money. And that was how one SARS official was arrested by the police just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. All right, we have to move on now. New Telegraph tragedy in Borno, Bayelsa. Female Boko Haram bombers killed 32, injured 48. 15 robbers rape corps member in Bayelsa. It's really sad. And 4 died, 25 injured in Ogun auto crash. And naval rating stabs woman to death. So many tragic incidences there. And 6 power stations shot. Generation drops by 1,087 megawatts. TCM begins nationwide load shedding to avert grid collapse.
Every government I've known in Nigeria, at least since I have come of age, has always celebrated something about electricity. Either they say, oh, we are going to 5,000 megawatt generation, and before you know it, something will happen
back to 2,000.
without apology to the people. I think it's about time we continue to attach value to people's life. You can't just off the light and just disrupt power without a cause.
Well, they said there was a rupture on one of their gas pipelines.
All these pipelines. We even have buildings in, I think I've seen 1 or 2 buildings. We have building in Dubai. As you are entering, you already know that this building is going to last for so number of years. All this pipeline that we are talking about have lifespan. What have we been doing as a people? Now you leave them to go. Do you think they will be there forever? They will not be there forever. I think we are just used to this type of nothing is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, besides that, we have to really get rid of the grid system. That's what an analyst said. This national grid system is not working.
It's the one taking us backward.
All right, that is why when something happens...
Every municipal this thing in South Africa, they do generate.
Exactly.
Every community, I can decide to generate.
All right, let me just run through.
Remember, there was zero generation at one point.
Yes. Southern Middle Belt leaders allege registration of mercenary voters. In 2019, YPDP will defeat Buhari by Sule Lamido. And EFCC reopens probe of 21.7 billion naira IPP project. And court jails Masob leader Wazirike for contempt. Okay?
All right. We go to the last paper now, the Daily Sun. Major story in Borno, bloody attack. Boko Haram kills 31. Sad story, we already talked about it, so we'll leave it. EFCC reopens probe on 21.7 billion naira IPP project. 6 power stations shut, 1,087 megawatts lost, wine days blackouts, TCN. APC convention, aspirants lobby for inclusion in unity list. We talked about it already. Yeah, the intrigues are wrapping up.
Unity list. That phrase is actually imported from PDP. PDP has
the unity list.
Yes. So APC borrowed it, unity list.
Okay, Mwabwe is a false Buhari on June 12, Democracy Day. Then land dispute. Court jails Masob leader 1 month for contempt. We appealed proceeding earlier. That's according to Wazirike's lawyer. That's about it. Since we already talked about all the stories on the front page of the Daily Sun before. So,
all right, that's the headlines on the papers, front pages of the newspapers today. Yeah. Well, Dotun, thank you for coming, but we'll be keeping you for the next discussion as we get into it.